Seawolves, and welcome back to the show. And what a 24 hours it has been. Charlie running a bit further away again, extending his lead quite a bit. A lot going on in the front of the fleet. At the same time, I mentioned one little word during the show yesterday. Confused seas. And right away we see, again throughout the whole fleet, some little damages here and there from those exact confused seas that I mentioned. So a very active 24 hours. Let's dive into all of it, but before we do that, I hope you have something delicious in your possibly Seawolf mug. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, wolves.
Bateaux confondus. 37 nœuds les gars. 37 nœuds en IMOCA sous pilote. Pas mal.
So let's start with the start. I know you're all very concerned about what happened on board Medallia with Pip Hare. She made a long video explaining what's going on, so take a look.
Well, it's the morning after the night before, and yeah, yesterday, last 24 hours turned out to be pretty brutal with the sea state. The waves were just kept getting bigger, the wind stayed right up there. I had 40 knots for a while, and then the wind lifted, so it started turning, which meant that my course ended up, instead of with the waves behind me, with the waves on the side, but then also the wind was side onto the waves, which made the wavelength shorter and made the waves start breaking, which was quite violent for me and for the boat. So it has been difficult to manage the balance between trying to go fast and trying to keep the boat in one piece. And sometimes I just take off, like now, we're just taking off. And then you just slam into the next wave at over 30 knots. And the impact on the boat is huge. I mean, the noises are phenomenal. So, yeah, it was quite a challenge and a learning experience for me, because I've never been down here with foils before. You know, this is new for me, trying to understand how to regulate and that sort of thing. Anyway, I did all my checks last night, just before last night. Kind of I go around the boat and just look for anything that's not quite right. And I discovered that I do have a crack in the bulkhead forwards. I think I caught it in early stages, and there was no way on earth I could address it yesterday. There's no way I could have gone up to the front of the boat and worked, but I do need to repair it, and I need to repair it today before the next big weather system comes in. So Joff has sent through instructions, and was about to start the repair because everything had calmed down a bit, but we've just taken off again, as is the way. I'm going to start assembling all the kit up forwards, and I'll do the repair today. The sea is dying down. I mean, it is just incredible. I mean, it's incredible out here. Just the colours and the way they change. Just earlier on it was the most intense blue, and now there's cloud cover over, and so everything has gone kind of slate grey. It's like everything is reflecting off each other, and the harmony of the light, and it's just amazing. So yeah, the crack is a concern but not a worry, so there's nothing for anyone to worry about. We've got it under control, and I am gutted. You're always gutted when your boat breaks, and you know, I'm going to have to slow down a little bit. If this sea state doesn't get better, I have to slow down a little bit to fix it. That has to be a priority, which again is difficult because I have worked so hard to catch up with Roman. You know, I'm within kind of 25 miles of him now, and he was well over 100 miles ahead of me kind of 36 hours ago, and so I don't want to let go of that. But you know, this is part of the race. Part of the race is dealing with this stuff. We expected it to happen. We've got the tools on board to sort it out. My job is to sort it out, get things back on their feet again and get going again. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so Pip doing okay for now. I guess she's probably in the middle of effecting those repairs. Not quite a comparable situation with Lewis Burton earlier, because that was like a lot more serious. But still, of course, she's saying it's a concern, not a worry. And you know, I'm happy to agree. It's her boat. She knows it best. But same as what I said with Lewis, right? Like the prolonged exposure to this violence. You know, it says something about the overall state of the material that you're working with. Now, the seas have been unusually confused and strong so far in this particular edition of the race. So that's something to take into account. And you know, like when this happened with Lewis, I mentioned already like 2 weeks, I guess, before he reached the Southern Ocean, that I was concerned that it also betrays something about maybe other things on board, materials used in similar spots, etc. And I was quite concerned that that would, you know, cause problems later, maybe in a different area. That kind of happened. Similar thing, of course, with the 4 gents in the front, with Sebastian damaging his foils, where I don't know 4 or 5 days before that I mentioned when they were going into kind of the high risk, low pressure area to kind of take that ride and see if they could turn that into an advantage. I think I mentioned something like, I think it's like a 70% chance that at least one of them is going to probably develop some kind of, maybe not race ending problem, but you know, it might be something that will hinder them the whole race. And again, it's like pretty good, you know, pulse on the finger of what could happen. So I would say with this also, you know, I'm willing to go with Pip's own intuition about her boat, like she knows her boat best. But of course still, you know, to someone like me who's more looking from the sidelines, it is always a concern when you have like an outright material failure in some way, because, you know, all the materials of a similar age, all the materials under similar loads of stress. So if you get a fracture like that in one point, doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen in other points as well, but it is always, you know, should be in the back of your mind to be like, okay, let's check everything extra, and like she said, taking it a little bit slower, taking a little bit less risk. So she's doing all those mitigating things, and yeah, it's just a signal, right, from the boat that you're racing against kind of the top of what is possible. And it's clear to see, I think, already now in this race that the new foils have added some serious new speed, but the amount of violence that the structure of the boat, that the core structure of the boat gets to endure, has also increased quite a lot. And you know, we are seeing that that's shaking out, and that we are seeing some consequences of that. And so I think that's a lesson to, you know, all of the skippers, all of the races, to, you know, mind the increased damage, because this is not without a price ultimately. And it's for all of the skippers to find and thread kind of the needle on how do you balance kind of, you know, you want to go fast, you want to do good in the race. At the same point, you know, in order to finish first, you first have to finish. So it's always the matter of how far do you push things until it breaks, right? So that's kind of the Pip Hare situation. Let's take a quick look at the front of the fleet, because no other like standout things happening right now to mention. So jump in with me here. So you can see Charlie-d'Olonne again extending his lead quite a bit. Now we know that Sebastian is of course a little bit slower on his one foil, and he's actually been a little bit closer. But then if we look at Jon Richomme, they were on something like 280 or something yesterday. So the distance between Charlie and Jon has actually increased again a little bit. Thomas Ruyant, I don't exactly remember what he was on yesterday, looks about the same, but I think that Jon also gained some miles on Thomas Ruyant also. So the front stretching out, as you can see, they've got a nice low kind of coming underneath their position. So they're kind of in the strong winds behind this particular low. And it's going to give them strong winds again for some sorry, fast sailing. And yeah, right now we see Charlie doing 20 knots. Now Sebastian Simon noticeably a bit slower, and Johan doing 21.9. Just you know, not exactly in the most optimal direction to score points. So he's definitely not gaining any miles right now. While we see that Charlie is actually in a great direction, is going to have some time on this particular tack, and it's gonna, yeah, he's making like a nice direction to extend his lead further, while the rest is sort of maneuvering, you know, around this particular corner here as they cross the Cape. So it's again a good time for Charlie to extend that lead a little bit further. Okay, so nothing too major going on right behind there. Then we have that little group with Boris Herrmann, very tightly racing together there. Clarice Kramer obviously really was able to hang on to the group. Justine Metro made a nice update in English.
We see I'm still sailing with the same group of 3 other boats, and it feels like everybody's kind of doing the same, because we kind of all have more or less the same speed. So it's all about like trying to manage the boat so it can last for the race. And today it's just been like one, it's the day, we left like 1 month exactly ago. So as you can see, it's a bit bumpy out there, but sunny.
Good to see her perspective also, and I have to say she is doing like an absolutely great race in her team Snaff, of course, the former Hugo Boss and later second 11-hour racing boat, I think. So, or no, sorry, actually it's former Chirel, sorry, correction there, former Chirel, but doing a great race so far, really impressive. And of course had her problems with losing the sail and stuff, but so far really so good. Boris also again on a nice speed, a little update there as well. So after the pancakes now making good speed, so that's nice. And then if we zoom out a bit again, we see that if you look a bit more to the back, Damien Seguin still very much doing his own thing, but nice speed, 21.1, kind of very much on his own, crossing the Southern Oceans there. And when we look at the aft group, we see still Jean Le Cam powerfully in charge, doing 17.4 knots compared to 14.8. For Isabel Joschke and 18 for Alan. So Alan actually a little bit faster now, but you know, it's not much, 0.5 knots. And I think if we look overall that, yeah, Jean has again extended his lead on his 2 like main rivals that he's kind of sailing against right now. So very comfortably leading the let's say the best of the rest in the race. And yeah, similarly impressive as yesterday. The old wolf still has things to teach us. And yeah, other than that, everybody just racing strongly. Like I said, a lot of reports due to the very confused seas of like small damages here and there. So not quite comparable to Pip in the sense that I didn't hear of any like significant like hull damage. But a few people broke some battens, small sail damage, things like that. Nothing on the level where I would like make a real big deal out of it, but just a lot of small stuff that's kind of expected to happen now, but a bit more of it than usual because of the extremely confused seas. And finally, of course, let's never forget who is in the back. Yeah, so Sabo doing, well, he's going pretty slow actually, 6.6 knots, fell out of the wind a bit again. And I guess waiting for a new low to come. But yeah, so far the next one is still quite far down, so that's going to take a while, I think. So yeah, he might actually be, well, not stuck, he's still going 6 knots, which is not that bad. But at that rate, it's still going to be, I don't know, 4 or 5 days for him to get to the Cape of Good Hope. So it's definitely not going very fast for poor Sabo there in the back all the way on his own. But yeah, I hope he's doing good and keeping himself motivated, and hopefully he'll get some stronger winds soon. So that's it for the analysis right now. I hope you enjoyed again. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and of course let anybody else who you think might have an interest know about the daily reports, and see you in 24 hours. Ciao, ciao!